I'd like to ask you what book you think this is from. What book of the Bible? My God, why have you forsaken me? Dismissing my plea, the roar of my words. Also, they divide my garments among them, and over my robes they cast lots. What book would you say? It's in Psalms. And when Christ's on the cross, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Now the question is he quoting David? You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you race of Jacob, honor him. Stand in awe of him, all you race of Israel. For he has not despised nor disdained the song of the afflicted. He did not turn his face from him, but when he cried, he listened to him. 100 times I will repeat to you my song of praise in the great congregation. I will fulfill my vows before them who fear him. The poor will eat and be content. Those who seek the Lord will praise him. May your heart live forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and return to Yahweh. All the clans of the nations will bow before him. For truly is the Lord the King, and the ruler over the nations. Indeed, to him shall bow down all those who sleep in the nether world. Before him shall bend the knee all who have gone down to the mud. For the victor himself restores to life. May my progeny serve him. Tell of the Lord forever. May they begin to recount his generosity to all people yet to be born, that he has acted. Isn't that magnificent? You who fear Yahweh, praise him. What is it to fear the Lord? It's so hard to have a God you fear. It just doesn't make any sense. And there are all kinds of people who've tried to take the fear out of it. And I've thought about it a lot, and I really didn't like fear of the Lord stuff because it's so unreasonable, so unkind, cruel, it seemed. It used such a cruel way when I was in those particular churches. And I recall in one religious viewpoint, I am the Lord thy God, more or less, I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. The jealous God. What does it mean, this terrible aspect of the Lord? Well, I think it's that we live in fear very often of all kinds of possible calamities. We're afraid what the boss might say. We're afraid that she'll say no when we ask for a date. Or we're afraid that taxes are going to be too much. Or we're afraid business won't be fine enough. For most people upon this planet, they're just living scared. And because of these fears, people think out on God with incredible regularity. Because God's, for most people, a soft touch. God's being is something that can be regularly ignored against other fears. I'm afraid I won't have a nice day today. People think, I better go out and try my best to have a nice day. I'm afraid I won't be happy being with God. I mean, for creatures who fear difficulty, limitation, termination in any way in their life, they almost always make a material or mental or psychological or emotional fear much bigger than any kind of respect for God, any kind of place in their heart for the Lord. And for one who lives in fear of the world, of the devil, of the things of the devil, of all the menaces and the twits and the innuendos and the insults, for one who is more scared of those than of God, the provider of all, that's too bad. It leads to one's devastation. If one is willing to say, I would fear abusing God or ignoring God or hurting God more than I would fear speaking the truth. The idea is, if we're afraid to do the truth, afraid to live for God, or we're afraid to express our ideal, it's because we're generally afraid of the powers of the world and the devil. If you and I could, if we have any fears, fear the consequence of taking God for granted, or fear the consequence of hurting God's heart, we would walk upright and live beautiful lives. So, having meditated a lot on it, I submit this interpretation, which I think is obvious, but which I've never heard before. If you're going to walk this earth scared of the oil crisis, of inflation, of abuse, of afflictions from any angle whatever, better be more afraid that you let God down. Be more afraid that you lose your awareness of your soul. Those are things to be scared of. Be more afraid that in going with the pack or in engaging in some kind of group karmic hysteria, that you do not betray your one and only friend. Be afraid that in delighting in Baskin Robbins, I'm just citing them because they're a very good manufacturer of ice cream. Be afraid that you're taking some pleasures above the pleasures God can give you. That's worth being scared about. So, if you want to be scared, at least be scared of the right things. Abusing, ignoring, hurting God's heart. Putting your Lord in some kind of prison, or putting the Lord away from you. That's to be scared of. And the thing is, it's pretty easy to hurt God in terms of our relationship. It's the easiest thing in the world to make God number 10. And if there are 19 things that come to our mind, make God number 20. Continually put God off. And one who does that is putting off life itself, and liberation, and realization, and joy, power, and strength. I'm saying this because I get a chance to watch God in operation quite often, and it's pretty hard now and then to see where the Lord's hand's involved until you get a little trained. It almost always looks like the devil's going to win, like negative forces or greed or jealousy or cruelty, which seems so easy for people because they can get their negative animalistic passions involved. It seems like that's going to win. Or it seems like it's more appealing to do the many, many things of the world because we're so good at making great sense pleasures. And on the other hand, it seems so difficult to enjoy spiritual things. Why, it's like trying to enjoy the air. And it seems like communing with the Lord is trying to embrace the wind. Yet in every instance, in every instance, those who choose the Lord prevail. It's hard to believe unless you know about reincarnation, I suppose. But even in one's lifetime, if you look closely, the ones who prevail are the ones who turn to the Lord, are willing to embrace that wind, it seems. And the ones who have the joy of life, the ones who enjoy the benefits of having been born, are the ones who have feared the Lord, or considered the Lord greater than anything the world offers or any menace the world has. It might come as a surprise to hear that we can turn to the Lord, because people walk the yoga path assuming they have turned to the Lord. But a lot haven't, because I see as soon as problems come, they either think it's yogic not to turn to the Lord and to manfully stick it out, or womanfully stick it out, or they turn to the world for their solution in terms of, well, that guy's really being mean or doing some negative or satanic process, so I guess it's my duty to be a spiritual warrior using satanic process. This is indeed tragic. When you're in trouble, turn to God and ask Him to help you, and God will help you. You might not know God exists, you might only suspect the Lord exists. Turn and invite the Lord to come, and the Lord will help you. It's simply incredible. It says in the Bibles that people on the spiritual path are first like babes, that the people in the world are so wise and hep to how to make a buck and how to rip people off. And so you find God at first, and you're naive. So you're neither confirmed in the Lord, using the Lord's presence and being aware of the Lord's power, nor are you capable of being so cruddy as the people in the world and using whatever means they want for a profit. In the Lord, you grow up, though. In the Lord, you grow up to using the Lord's presence, that relationship, that divine relationship in its fullness, and saying, Lord, since I've dedicated my life to you, we have this problem. What should we do about it? I'm not going to ignore you or your power or your reality. What should we do about this problem? And invite the Lord in. It is true that Taku said that a bhakta won't disturb the Lord unnecessarily. If there's a certain problem, the bhakta now and then thinks, why trouble the Lord about this? I can handle this myself. The Lord's so busy handling so many problems, and that's simply beautiful. However, if you're in a position where you're being batted around and you're not in control of the situation, obviously, and the situation's getting worse, what a fool you are not to accept the help of the Lord and invite Him to help you in this or that situation. The Lord is the creator of you. The Lord is the concerned one about you. He says, let me share your life. You live in me and I live in you. And one of the sweetest things about Taku, if you study various incarnations, you'll find that probably Ramakrishna seemed to have the least to fear. I mean, he didn't seem to really zap people like some of the great avatars did. So the easiest one of all the avatars, I think, to take for granted and not to fear, not to give much credit to, or concern about, is Taku. And it's a big mistake. And bhaktas go out in there in the world and get worried and troubled about so many, 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 many things, because they take the Lord for granted, do not invite Him into their lives to help them with their problems, and do not fear what would happen from ignoring and neglecting the Lord. Again and again, I see people ignore what they're doing to their lives because the Lord is so gentlemanly. You know, Yogananda said once that One of the most charming aspects of the Lord is that He respects you and your free will. So He comes like a beggar. He stands there quietly saying, "May I have a bit of your time? Could I have a little of your energy, a little of your attention? I could help you with that, may I?" And we stampede through incarnation saying, "Nix, buddy." And just turning away from the divine. The Lord is such a gentleman. He will not prevail. He will not come in unless asked. Can you really say that you have a problem that you can't take to the Lord? Well, then you're pretty cockeyed. You should be able to take a problem. You should be able to take yourself to the Lord. And the Lord will help. The Lord has said He'll help. The Lord has promised to help. The Lord has come to help. You know, there's a survey done of successful people. They did a survey because they thought that positive thinking should be determined if it works, because there are vast numbers of people every day trying to use affirmations and things to just assume everything's okay. And they found that kind of thinking doesn't work very well in the hard, practical business world. And this is a psychological impartial study. They were perhaps hoping that positive thinking really worked. At least I think that's why they undertook it. Now, they found, though, that you have to be positive thinking to the extent that you feel and sense you can be successful at whatever it is you're doing. Yeah, you shouldn't go into the thing with the feeling you're going to be a failure. But the main characteristic of the successful people was they were able to look for the troubles and face them. And when they had something going, they'd say, "What could possibly go wrong here? What could go wrong?" And make up their minds about how to change that. They were not ostriches, positive thinking ostriches. They were actually looking for problems, faults, difficulties, and striving to deal with them before they became a bigger problem. Or when a problem came, they didn't ignore it, they dealt with it. And this aspect was the characteristic that united all the successful people in all the different fields. The ability to look for the problem, the trouble, and handle it. When you see a problem coming, don't hide it in positive thought gravy, or it will give you indigestion down the line. You can look and you can see what the problem is. You say, "Lord, I need your help." Maybe you know what to do already. Okay, do it. But go to the Lord with a problem. "Lord, these things are welling up. How shall it be handled?" In the case of the Lord, it's almost exclusively that story about sportsmanship. It's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game. In terms of the goals of the world, there are many, many different goals, many different games. But God's game is the development of yourself. How you, as an individual, grow in truth, beauty, and goodness, and spiritual values. That's more important than anything you're going to do out there in the world, with the world telling you all these different goals. Not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game. You play the game in truth, beauty, goodness, spiritual values, you always win. In God's eyes, and generally in the world's eyes too, because God would love to have good examples running around out there. People who took these spiritual things to heart and did something about them. So you got people out there who think they're working for Taku, say, or the Lord, who hardly ever turn to Him. Neither to share the delight in what the Lord has provided, nor to share the problem that perhaps didn't even have to exist, except for our lack of attunement. Life without the Lord is a lonely, material, limited, chopped up, chaotic, unfulfilling thing, leading to many, many other problems. People forget that when they don't fear the Lord, because the world can be so absorbing for temporary spurts of time. But now you get into yoga, and then we have this marvelous science of asanas and mudras and techniques and samadhis to be had, and all kinds of wonderful things. And certainly these are magnificent, and they lead toward such high realities. It's just amazing. But above all, we were talking about spiritual values. Everything in yoga, everything is pale compared to the fact that you get through yoga so that you can invite the Lord, God, the creator of the universe, into your life. And you and your beloved divine companion go through life together. Yoga, I found I couldn't experience that without yoga, so I'm in yoga. And I'm praising the Lord for the science of yoga. That's true. But all of that is pale compared to you can ask God to come in a way that is kind of up to your aptitude, up to your individuality. You can ask God to come into your life, God's Spirit to come into your spirit. And the two of you can enjoy a marvelous, wondrous life together. There's nothing more important than that. The Lord truly loves yoga. He loves pranayama and pratyahara. They help to bring about that relationship. But get it in the right perspective if you're here. It's all about God. I'm talking to you who have hurt hearts and difficult times. Don't forget the whole point of being alive. You didn't come here to have challenges and successes in the material world. You came here so you could live with the Lord, so you could turn to God and God could come into your life. Beyond various problems making you ignore Him or throw Him out. I tell you, the Lord will help you with your life. Again and again and again, ask Him in, and He will help you with your life. He will help you with every problem. But people get so blithe, they think that they're handling it, and it's the vicissitudes of their karma, or the vicissitudes of the market, or inflation. They're all wrong, even if they've done yoga for years. Yoga is defined many ways, but in every single way, it comes right back to this very basic thing. Like, yoga is conscious attunement with the source of life. Okay. God. You and God. God is the source of life. Meditation is controlling the waves of the mind. Well, what that does, it controls all your other fears, all the fears that make you subject to the powers of the world. Controls them so your divine soul, the expression of God, may manifest in your life. Meditation, concentration on a spiritual object. That spiritual object is an aspect of the Lord. It's a wondrous thing to be walking the earth at this time and to have found this place. Because this is one of the main places in the world today. This little dinky place with a nice large carpet. I just love the look of that carpet. This is one of the places that you can palpably meet the Lord and take Him home with you. And if you lose Him and ignore Him, you can come back and meet Him again and again. That's the beginning of the spiritual path. But later on, you come here because you want to worship Him. You come, you're getting in that car is like an arati. You're doing worship to the Lord as you drive here. You're doing worship to the Lord as you pick up your envelope and your flowers, close the car door, that's arati. That's worship of the Lord. You smile at somebody, say hello, and you walk up the stairs. You come in here, you sit down, put out your mat. That's arati. That's worship, weaving of your consciousness to the Lord, worship of the Lord. And you sit down and you open your heart and you sing and you think and you feel divinely. Nothing is so sublime or important in your week as the worship of the Lord, in my opinion. But I'm commissioned to say these things, and I mean them with all my heart. I'd be dead without the privilege of worshiping the Lord. I would want to die if I didn't have the privilege of worshiping the Lord. Well, then as a result, the Lord says, "Oh, my devotee, my dear one, can we further the work? Can we touch out? Can we reach others? Can we bless others' lives? Can we change the general pattern of this cruddy thought world right now? And can the divine overrule all the rape units and all the perversion units that are floating around everywhere and all the drug-haunted elementals and things like that? Can we do that?" And the devotee smiles and says with joy, "Oh, let me be your instrument. I would just love to be your instrument." But very few of us are at that level yet. It takes a certain patience on the Lord's part. And I look at people like, now and then I see somebody, I think they'll be awakened in 3 years. Or I see somebody, I not only awakened, but liberated, say, or whatever, 3 years, And I see them just settling into a 25-year program. And just see, yeah, enough's enough. Is the feeling, yeah, it's good stuff, but I don't want to believe it all, or I don't think I can swallow all that, An interesting thing to perceive. The most important thing, you can ask the Lord into your life. And that's the very basic thing. And I have to tell this to people who've been doing yoga for a few years. You got so busy. You got so scared that Lord became number 22 on a scale of 1 to 100. And Lord's number 1. Last night, a devotee just cried and she said, "Guruji, I don't love you enough. There's sometimes 4 hours go by when I haven't thought of you as love." Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You got 4 hours there, huh? 4 hours. I just didn't feel love for you. Says, well, look, how about your love for God? You love God quite a bit, don't you? Can you love God pretty easy by now? Yeah. Well, tell you what, that's my whole purpose. So you just love God, and if you ever have trouble loving God, then you think of me. And if you feel love for me, then easily go straight to God and you're back loving God again. Love for God is all important. And the thing about me is I can help you love God. I can help free you as a guru. I can free you of what stands between you and God. So it's easy for you to love God. And that's the beauty. God's used me, designed me to help you when you're having trouble loving God. You just think of me. You'll be able to love God again pretty easy. And you can chant God's name, thinking of me, and God will help you that way. Or some of you have a mantra to the guru. That's to help you love God. Nothing's more important in your life than this love relationship with the Lord. And when you get in love with God, you don't have to be afraid at all. But if you start taking God for granted, then I get a little scared. I mean, I have reason to be scared because I watch devotees now and then drop off like flies. I get scared when I see that. I say, "Oh, Lord, if necessary, give me a little fear here because I don't want that to ever happen to me." But basically, Lord, give me more devotion. I'm not a fly. I don't want to drop off like one. So the thing is, I'm asking you, friend, do you love God? If you do, that means that you have next to no fears out there, because in your love for God, you feel so consolidated that God's helping you with all your problems. Or have your problems wormed in there and begin to put God not only in the back seat, but way down the road. And you have to run after your car as you're zooming off to do a little bit of activity to balance all the chaos in your life so you can say your life has some meaning. God wants to come into your life, my dear friend. God's Spirit, God's life, God's wisdom, which is very practical, God's power, which is greater than any power on the earth. If you love God, God's in your life, and that wisdom and that joy and that power will help. Will help. And our gang don't seem to catch this. And they ignore the Lord with such ease that then they get into these troubles and don't pay attention to God with considerable ease. And then they get mean to one another and stuff like that. Strange for devotees. What kind of devotee? Ask the Lord into your life. And if you're a yogi and now you realize, gee, from what he's saying that he really means it again, then you better ask the Lord into your life again. I mean it. That's the main commission I have, that the Lord can come into your life in a real way and help you with your life in a real way. A way that's quite invisible, it seems, quite subtle. It makes for manifestation, but it's not in the way of the world that these manifestations come. It's a way that's very practical. It's like Arjuna got a great deal. Krishna agreed to sit in his chariot and advise him on everything. And Krishna says, I won't fight. You'll fight. But I'll tell you how to fight. And that's the deal most friends of God get. Now and then God will directly intervene. But generally he'll say, let me stand with you in your heart or in your mind as you live life and as you fight the battles. And I will show you how to fight. And you cannot lose. Ask the Lord into your life. Through yoga, meditation, through yearning, whatever. Ask the Lord's Spirit, the Lord's life, to merge with your life. Don't put it off another minute. You are perishing without it. And if you already have that, then dedicate yourselves to it more fully, such that you not ever have to fear your own Lord, because you don't need to fear the Lord at all if you're close to Him. But fear Him like crazy if you're drifting away, because He's so mellow, He's willing to wait for incarnations of your karmas to pass before again say, and now, my dear one, have you learned that one pretty good? Let's go on. Whatever we say now in our minds and hearts during this next meditation is entirely up to you. May the Lord bless you during the next few minutes. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. In green meadows he will make me lie down. Near tranquil waters will he guide me to refresh my being. He will lead me into luxuriant pastures as befits his name. Even though I should walk in the midst of total darkness, I shall fear no danger, since you are with me. Your rod and your staff, behold, they will lead me. You prepare my table before me in front of my adversaries. You generously anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness will attend me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for days without end.